What is going on, Breakthrough Success listeners? Marc Guberti here. In this episode, we're going to talk about the 9-figure mindset. How do we go from just getting started to being able to build and scale successful companies? We are joined by the CEO and co-founder of Cardone Ventures, one of the biggest privately held business, coaching, and consulting firms. The parent company consists of several smaller companies like 10X Health, 10X Buy Sell, and others. Our guest has also more than 30 years of experience in building and selling businesses, including a company that he took public at 29. And he's the author of 9-Figure Mindset, which teaches people how to go from zero to over $100 million in net worth. Our guest who joins us in this episode of Breakthrough Success is none other than Brandon Dawson. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm excited to be here.
Brandon, it is a pleasure to have you on Breakthrough Success, and we've had a lot of 6-figure and 7-figure business owners on the show, but we got a 9-figure business owner on the show today. I'm wondering if you can share with us a little bit of what makes the 9-figure mindset and what separates it from 7- and 8-figure mindsets.
It's a great question, and I'm a 3x 9-figure builder. So I have $300 million plus valued and revenue businesses. And so 2 of those have come just in the last 60 months. And so, the odds of building a business from scratch to 100 million, no invested capital, no debt, over 20 years is 0.01%. The odds of doing it in 5 years is 0.001%. The odds of doing it twice in 5 years is incalculable. What I talk about really is driven off of your mindset, because if you believe you can do it, you learn the technical aspect of how to do it. The market's there. It's begging people to come in and organize and build businesses. The difference between 6, 7, 8, and 9 is simply the technical move from me, leadership, generating income and learning how to make income. That's the 6-figure person. For them to go to 7-figure, they need to be able to multiply what they do through a few people. To be able to go to 8, they need to multiply that through what I call we leadership. So it starts with me leadership. And then to get to 8-figure, it has to become we leadership. Like I got to get other people to do all the things I'm doing. To get to 9, you have to master us leadership, which is moving a lot of people towards a stated objective with a specific purpose that executes and gets results. And that transformation from me to a small group, we, to a large group, us, is all dependent on the belief system and the amount of work that individual is willing to do to develop their leadership skills and how high they can actually believe about what's possible.
I mean, it's interesting, like 6 figures, you could easily do that on your own solo. You don't need a team. But as you get more ambitious with your goals, you definitely need to have that team behind you. I know you mentioned you've started multiple companies that have gone to make 9 figures. I know Cardone Ventures, they're also looking to expand to different areas. 10X Health, I know, is one of the big ones. Before we get into 10X Health, though, I know that not only do you have a lot of successful companies under Cardone Ventures, but you're also looking to expand into new industries. How do you figure out how do you identify the booming industries to embrace and tackle? And then how do you go about making your mark in those industries?
That's a great question. In 2009, I hired FTI, a billion-dollar consulting firm. I took all the work I had built on formatting and building businesses and what allows businesses to succeed versus what causes businesses to fail. When I identified that, I hired the agency and we went and looked at thousands and thousands of industries and started force ranking predictability factors, things like convergence, disruption, market changes, revenue cycle changes, things from selling a product to revenue sharing on products to collaboration growth. And we looked at all this stuff and I created a metrics. And what we do is we literally benchmark all the industries against the metrics that I built. And then I sold my latest business for 77 times EBITDA, $151 million in 2016, because I had all this engineering. So I knew exactly how to place my business and I knew exactly how to sell it to extract the most amount of value. And so now what we do is we have a whole dedicated research team. We've brought almost $9 billion of businesses through Cardone Ventures. We've engineered almost 800 of those businesses, multi-billions of dollars of different kind of businesses. We have the data. And we match that data to private equity trend rates in marketplaces. And we also match it to innovative markets that are starting to explode in growth. Like 5 years ago, you wouldn't think micronuclear or data storage centers or anything that have to do with AI or power would have been a big thing because oil, coal, gas, So you have these huge emerging markets, and when they hit fast, and first movers take advantage. But you also have these old traditional markets like home service businesses. Back in 2010, if you had a $50 million home service business and it was making, say, $5 million or $10 million a year, it was worth somewhere between 3 and 4 times your profit. By 2021, it was worth 10 to 12. So what caused that? Well, the businesses that innovated the marketplaces, all of a sudden an old traditional business that seems boring becomes what's called a front door to a whole bunch of other things that you can do. So if I had an HVAC business in 2010, I'm bending sheet metal and I'm getting HVAC working in your house. But today, if you call me to put HVAC in your house, I'm probably going to do my lights. I'm going to do automated windows. I'm going to do my thermostat's going to be automated. My TVs are going to be automated. My garage doors are going to be automated. So now you just track, like Tommy at A1 Garage Door, 2013 sells half his business for $275 million last year. Ken Goodrich with Gettle, $5 million business going out of business in 2013, sells it for $550 million in 2021. So if you're tracking all the transactions that happens across hundreds of verticals, and you're looking at the valuations paid by Wall Street and what they're chasing and why they're chasing it, and you reverse engineer that into the size of a business and how many little micro businesses they are, it tells you what the opportunity is to consolidate and bring together forward-thinking business owners to create massive value fast. And that's what we do. We attack a business opportunity by aligning with business owners who are like-minded, forward-thinking, and want to succeed, and redistribute the value away from Wall Street and into their teams and into their customers, and doing it differently. So we are engineering ways to access capital in the private markets that have never been accessed before. And it's important because it's a $16 trillion space, a small business space, employs 47% of the workforce, creates 45% of the GDP, and yet it's not represented on the stock market.
I mean, I like that idea. Like, you guys do so much research to figure out all these promising industries, and you could look at what the big companies in Wall Street, how they're spending their money and what acquisitions they're making. Look at those numbers. Like Zuckerberg, for instance, he's looking for an AI guy. 4 years, $1 billion. That's the contract. So like, if you're gonna spend $250 million a year on one person for 4 years, that's a really big industry.
I get asked, is there more opportunity today for a young entrepreneur than there has been in the past? And I'm like, look, when I rang the opening bell of the American Stock Exchange at 29 years old, they said, you are the youngest or one of the youngest people to ever do it. Today, you could have 14-year-olds doing billion-dollar companies. So there's never been a better time to think about how big a business you can build. Plus, out of that $16 trillion, $5 trillion of it is going to happen in wealth transfer in the next 3 to 5 years with business owners that have $5-10 million businesses, don't make any money, and you can buy them for no money down. There's never been a better time to figure out how to scale and grow a business and create high value and high net worth.
Yeah, I think the people who hustle hard have a lot more opportunity now than what they did back then. I will say, just prepping for this interview, I did watch some of your videos going into this one. So one of the questions I have for you, in your video, why you're smart but not successful, you mentioned the value of surrounding yourself with above average people. I know with Grant Cardone, you met him at 10X Growth Con, and that turned into Cardone Ventures. And I feel like we get the idea of we're the average of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. But speaking to someone who's had multiple 9-figure businesses and has that type of a network, how do you go about surrounding yourself with above average people?
It's a great question, and it's actually like everything, it's an algorithm, and you have to develop the algorithm. So it starts with this. People talk about this concept of law of attraction, right? And so some people think, if I just think about it, it's going to manifest, it's going to attract. But that's not really how the algorithm works. And the idea that you can just think of things and have them happen isn't true, because there's only actually one way to make something happen, and that is to take action towards the thing you want to have happen. So in order to attract what you want, the first component of that is intention. You have to decide exactly what you want. Most people go through the day thinking 97% of all small businesses fail in 10 years. Why? Because they don't really know what they want. They don't know what they're looking for. They're caught up in the emotion of it and dramatizing everything that goes wrong. But everything's going to go wrong. That's the art of building a business. You got to be like, everything's going to go wrong until I figure it out, and I'm going to have a great attitude about it. Otherwise, you're going out of business. So if I want to attract something, say I want to build a $10 million business and I want to attract that in my life, or 100 million, 8-figure or 9-figure or $1 billion. First, you have to decide that's what I want. So the first part of the algorithm is intention. What is my stated objective and intention? So I'm giving myself 10 years. I want a $100 million company. Okay, boom. That's my intention. Now, the second part is action towards a stated objective. I want to build a $100 million company. What is the fastest way to do it? Well, let's go talk to a handful of people that built $100 million companies and find out exactly how they did it. Let's actually read on as many entrepreneurs that built $100 million companies, and let's see how they did it. And so you can cut through, there's a lot of BSers in social media that say they're 9-figure business owners and they're complete frauds. Like when I got into the space, we hired our research agency and went and looked at 25 of these personalities running out. And I won't say who they are, but it's just ridiculous that they're making all these promises and claims. And the fact is they have like no net worth. Their net worth is selling classes and acting like they're big deals, right? But then there are legitimate people who actually did sell 9-figure businesses and actually built 9-figure businesses. So if you want to learn from someone who did it, you owe it upon yourself not just to listen to everybody and assume they're right. Like you have to do your own homework. So intention, I want to build a 9-figure business. Action, I'm going to move to building a 9-figure business. What's the fastest way to do it? Who's a living, breathing example of somebody that did it? And then what can I learn from them? And then third, as you take action towards a stated objective, $100 million business, I learned how to do it. I'm being coached on people who have done it or a person who has done it. Then you create momentum. And then as that momentum builds, you have to acknowledge you've never done it before. You don't know how to do it. Most people don't know how to do it. So all the problems associated with the struggles of having to become a great leader, having to actually learn to promote and market and then hire people to promote and market for you and then manage people that are going to promote and market for the people you hired to promote and market the way you did it. Those are all different skill sets and you don't know how to do it. So first thing is you have to acknowledge, I don't know what I'm doing and I've got to own doing it because I can't hand it off to a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing. And I'm going to develop myself until I hit my 9 figures. And I'm going to work like hell and I'm going to be committed. I'm never going to get distracted and I'm only going to learn from people that did it. That is actually intention, action, result. That's how you attract. How do you do it? Model, mimic, and master what somebody has already proven works. Those concepts, 3 times 3. Intention, action, result, that's attraction. Model, mimic, master, that's the other 3. And when you do that, the most important M kicks in, multiply. Because once you figure it out and once it's working, you multiply through other people. There's no way to build a business, even if it's a digital business, a tech business, you got to have people involved. And those people have to understand this is the destination. This is what we need to do to get there. And these are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we're going to resolve those as a team and find people that know how to solve those little micro problems until we hit target. That is the only way to think if you're going to get to be a 9-figure mindset, because you can even fake getting to 8, by the way. Getting to 10 million is not a big deal. People think it is, but it's really not. The average business, 98% of all businesses are 3 million or less if they're under 100 million. Only 2% are greater than 3 million. So like I wouldn't even talk to people with $3 million businesses if I wanted to get to 10. I would go find 3 to 5 people that have a $10 million business. I'd find an industry that's most interesting to me. I'd learn from them and I'd just go replicate what they taught me.
Now, I get the idea of like meeting people who are at your level of success. And some people, like, you could do like online social media groups and find those types of people. But do you feel like there's a better value in moving yourself to like a highly entrepreneurial like city or hub or area instead of staying in your own neighborhood? And like, do you feel like there's more value in moving to a place where you're specifically having like face-to-face interaction with highly successful people, or if like just online groups with people who have, let's say, done 9 figures or they fit your criteria? Is that good enough?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, depending on what kind of business you want to build, everyone has, even if you live in a population of 3,000 people, in every town is a successful business owner. If you're just like, I just want to go learn from someone, but I don't know what I want to do, you're already wasting your energy. What you need to do is decide, what am I most excited about? What's entertaining to me? What would be fun to do? And then who's the example of doing it? Because you think about all these online coaches and teachers and online schools at Wharton for how to build $1 billion, all this stuff. Like, you can go through all that. You could go train with me. You can train with Hormozi. You can train with any of the legitimate people out there. But here's the thing. If you don't know what you want to do, the training is going to fall on deaf ears. It's just not going to go anywhere. So the first thing you have to do is be like, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? What do I want to look like? What do I want the result to be? What do I want my life to be? If you can't decide that, you don't know what you're looking for. And if you don't know what you're looking for, it's easy to get sold in somebody else's success and vision, but you don't know how to apply it to you because you don't even know what you want to do. And I have a saying, and it's a fundamental rule and law in business, which is, where there's confusion, there's always failure. Anytime I introduce confusion to something, I'm guaranteed for failure to occur. So I have to eliminate confusion. The more precise I can be, and this is why we have our 10X Health business, by the way. The more precise I can be about what do I want to accomplish, the more precise I can be in who's the living, breathing example, the more I can actually hear the things I need in order to succeed. But there's some fundamental laws in business. If you're going to be successful in business and you're going to build a 9-figure business, you actually have to become an expert in 10 things. First, strategy. You have to learn how to set and execute strategy. Second, and you got to know who to listen to. Second, promotion. You have to know there's 7 promotes, how to promote, and how to teach everybody to promote, and how to promote through all ways of promotion, or you're going to fail. Third, conversion. Everyone has to speak the same language against every one of those promotes in order to drive value in the business. 4, because if you don't do that, you can't do the 4th, which is operations. You have to deliver on your promise. If you can't deliver on your promise, all those other things that happened before that go out of business. And 5, money. You don't get your money right. Third leading reason businesses go out of business is finances. Can't get money, don't make money. Then after that, it's about leadership, because if you're going to grow and scale, output amplifies input. You got all sorts of problems going out. You're going to have more problems coming in. You're going out of business. So you have to know how to lead your teams of people with the right outputs so you can get the right inputs coming back that actually add value. After that, it's data. What data do I look at? Well, the data you look at 2 million is different than data you look at 5 million, which is different than the data you look at 10, which is entirely different than 15 to 20. So how do you evolve your acumen and your understanding and appreciation of what data to look at? And then as it gets more complicated, between the 8 and 25 million, it's systems. The average business at 25 million is running on 17 to 27 different systems. So how do you know what's going on in your business? Then you got to consolidate it. So it's like then you gotta go back to investment thesis. Where do I put my money? What things do I buy? What assets? Whatever. So if you think across those 10 things, when you start your business, you're at 0 in most. You might be a 1 in promotion, a 1 in conversion, and a 1 in delivery. To get to 125 million, you got to be a 5 or 6 on a scale 1 to 6. You got to be a 5 or 6 across all 10 of those categories, and you're going to have 12 people doing it with you. At 75, it's 8. At 25, it's 5, and at 15, it has to be 3. And if those things don't exist together, you're going out of business. So when someone's in business and they're thinking about getting big, they have to understand what are the structural elements that have to be in place to get big, or it's like stacking a 10-story building on the foundation of a 1-story house. What's going to happen with 100% certainty as you stack the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th floor? It's going to collapse because the foundation was never built for it. And this is why businesses struggle and go out of business. And you have to understand all that and accept that you don't know what you're doing if you've never done it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many moving parts to a business, and if you're doing like a side hustle and something like that, you could do it on your own, but as you grow and scale, especially if you have really big goals, you are going to have that team around you and systems that make sure that you're able to do the basic things repetitively without much effort. And you've done that with 10X Health and other businesses. I do want to go into the 10X Health because you could have all the mental know-how, read all the business books, even do some of the stuff, but if your health isn't in check, then you're not really able to move forward as much. And it's hard to embrace that leadership role if you're not healthy. So I feel like a lot of the general health, it's good to have fruits and vegetables, stuff like that. But when you went into 10X Health, how did your perspective of health change, and what are some of the things that you wish you knew a little earlier about having a healthy lifestyle?
Oh boy. I mean, I've been an athlete most of my life. Then I became a business guy and had 3 kids and got fat and round. I was always at dinners, business dinners, and drinking. And I'd work out intermittently. About every 3 years, I'd get on some 2-year thing and I'd get back in shape, and then I'd fall back out of shape and back and forth. And finally, 2019, when I met Grant, he was 59 years old. He's in phenomenal shape. And so he was teasing me about being a little pudgy. And so I was like, all right, well, introduce me to your guy, right? Whoever you're working with. So he did. And I lost like 40 pounds. I never felt better in my life. And so that was a little $1.8 million business that was owned by Gary Brecken and now his wife, Sage. And Gary became a friend. And I'm in business engineering at the same time. And COVID hits in that time. And so I'm going between Arizona and Miami. And I'm doing these things with Gary. And he had a little $2 million business that he'd had for like 5 years with his wife. And I was also engineering businesses that did the same thing. And I refer to those as human optimization businesses, things like peptides and doing all sorts of blood things to get your blood healthier, and watching what you're, getting a dietitian involved, or getting a nutritionalist involved. And so all of a sudden, like, I was in the middle of all this, but I was doing it with like 3 or 4 different people when I was going between Arizona and back to Miami. And I realized, wait a minute. And I came out of healthcare and I scaled up and sold my businesses, healthcare business, to a global company, and then expanded them globally for one of the highest prices ever paid for a company my size. And so I was like, man, this business, and I know how bad the healthcare system is. Like, I grew up in it. And you got to think, we spend almost $14,500 per capita in the United States for providing healthcare. And we rank 167th next to like Vietnam, that spends $150 a year for their population. So you think about how disgusting that is. And so it's just highly problematic for a variety of reasons, which it was a different podcast. But I was like, man, healthcare is mostly reactive. And then there's intervention, which is in front of that, like how someone that's not feeling well or starting to not feel well, and what do you do? And then there's preventative in front of that. And so I was like, okay, if we're really going to affect the world, Grant was sitting there with Elena, Natalie, and I one day, and we're like, man, if we could just do something that could impact 8 billion people, right? What would be the business? And this is why being around the right people, big thinking. And I said immediately healthcare, because it's the only thing that's universal. Like, there is no wealth without health, by the way. If you feel like crap or you're sick, your mind is on that. All you have to do for every business owner I've ever worked with is have you or a loved one run into a massive health issue, and you stop caring about everything else. So if you can combine health and wealth and health, then it's the propellant for creation, which is creation has to happen for a business to succeed and wealth to occur. So we were sitting around like, healthcare, let's do it. So I'm like, well, look, we're staying healthy during COVID. We're not getting sick. We're doing all our events. We're doing no one on our team's getting sick because we're doing these IVs. We're doing all these preventative things. So let's get into the longevity space. Before longevity was even a conversation. This was 4 years ago, actually 4.5 years ago. So I approached Gary and I said, we're going to build this longevity business. And he said, man, I want to do it with you guys. So I bought his wife's business for $200,000. And they had been doing like $1.8 million for 5 years, running around like chickens with their head cut off because we were their patients. And then the first year we did 25, second year 75, and then last year we did like 130 million. And we will be the largest. I bought a bunch of businesses in Europe and combined them. A life sciences business, it's been $100 million. And we've got these projects going on, but we are the only healthcare company that is now certified to do business in 46 countries by the equivalent of the FDA, using our precision nutrition platform, which I wanted to get all the way. So think about healthcare and what we just talked about. I don't even want to be considered healthcare. I want to build a company with my partners around the world that's known for human optimization and longevity. Because if you feel amazing and you get in the front end and never being sick, then you don't need healthcare because you don't need to access it, right? So that was the big idea. Well, in 48 months now, we're in 46 countries. We're making some huge announcements over the next probably 90 days. We'll be the largest global company doing what we do with genetics. and then driving personalized or precision care with supplements or with IVs. We're the only ones in the world that has precision IVs based on your genetic deficiencies. Precision supplements made exactly for you. And then we have 2 different kind of tests, one with 5 SNPs, the other with 55 SNPs, so that you can look at your whole body or you look at specific things inside your body with MTHR genes and things like that. Because we're driving human optimization. And then it goes to peptides. Then it goes, thank God, we're finally starting to break free with the stem cells and the things that they're starting to let us do. And Florida just passed that. Unbelievable for human beings, so they don't need to get on drugs. They can fix tears. It's just incredible. And then you go to wellness, longevity. That's all in there. And then if you get sick, you go to healthcare, right? So we want to be the innovative company where you can literally look at your app and see if your body's optimized every single day. And if not, you can click a button and find out what you need and click another button, have it delivered to your house, or get on the phone and talk to a professional, depending on where you're out of alignment. That's our vision. And I believe we'll be the first company around the world to do it.
Yeah, I love the thought of human optimization because there's too much of, oh, I have cancer, now I have to do things for my health, whereas you could be doing things several years before to make sure you don't even get that bad news.
Technology has advanced. If you're doing a scan every couple of years, if you're doing your blood, think about your car. If you never took your car in for service, you never changed the oil, you never put gas in it, what's going to happen? Well, the immediate thing that's going to happen if you never put gas in it is what? It runs out of gas. Well, your body's the same way. You should be thinking about what's the gas that fuels my body, right? And if you put diesel in a gasoline engine, what happens to your diesel car? Or your gasoline car? You kill it. It dies, right? Same with your body. You put the wrong things in your body, you're going to die off. You're going to lose all your energy. So now, what about maintenance? Well, if you never check the tires and you never check the oil and you never check the radiator fluid, you're guaranteed at some point your tires will blow out, your radiator overflow, or your engine will freeze up. Okay, that's in a car, you look at it and you go, that's so obvious. I mean, you would never even think otherwise, right? Well, the body's the same way. There's certain fuels you need to put in your body in real time, all the time. There are certain checkups you should be doing to make sure that you're servicing yourself so that you're optimized and you're not going to have any future problems. But most people kick the can until the tire blows out or until the engine block frees up, and then they got serious problems. And so what we want to do is we want to get people to where they're like, I'm aware, I'm alert, and I have knowledge and information that allows me to live the best version of myself. So I'm happier, I'm healthier, and I'm more productive. And that's all the way from this to having medical advice across the spectrum of all the things you need to know in order to be optimized. And that's the global opportunity that we see to build a huge business.
So I heard you mention supplements quite a few times. I know 10X Health sells a bunch of supplements. I'll ask you personally, how many supplements do you take in a given day?
I take 100 nutrients a day.
Oh, wow.
And I do it in our precision pack, which is, could you go grab me, Mandy, so I can show them? Will you go grab my precision? I do 100 nutrients a day made for me based on the deficiencies in my genes. And I take them in a pack that's been precision made for me, so I can take it in less than 3 seconds. And it's all time released in my track, so I can absorb. And this is all clinical and life science studied. I can absorb it through my track in order to replenish my body for where I'm deficient. We are the only ones in the world that have that.
How do you figure out like what's specific to you? Because there's some supplements that are just like general, but like how do you find it specifically for you?
Because when you take our precision genetic test, you get a 400-page book, and it shows you the breaks in your genes, where you're deficient, where they're counteracting each other, where you might have contraindication for other stuff you're taking, because if you just don't have any idea. But if you have a bunch of deficiencies, because getting your body normalized is to replenish it what naturally is supposed to be in it. And if you don't have it, you're going to have disease. You're eventually going to get there. So if I can top my body off, just like my gas tank off, with what my body needs to feel great, feel normal, actually, not even feel great, just feel normal like I did when I was 15 or 18 or 20, then I should start there. And the problem is people carry around buckets of supplements. They get them from China. They get them from different manufacturers. They counteract each other. They cancel each other out. Some of it has poison in it and has chemicals in it that you shouldn't even be taking. And so what people do is they go on these fads because it's not easy. True leadership in business is making other people's success easy. What we wanted to do is engineer easy. So our supplements are manufactured, same with our weight management program. You can open one pack. If I'm gone for 14 days, I carry 14 packs. That literally is 100 of the nutrients I need every single day to be optimized.
I know we're talking about health, so I do want to I want to mention burnout as well. I'm interested in your thoughts on it because there's this idea of like, if you work too hard, you get burned out, but is that more of like there's something misaligned with health, or is that, because I get the idea that if you work like 20 hours a day, like eventually you need sleep, but I'm wondering like how can we minimize the likelihood of being burnt out so we're able to work throughout the day and feel great?
Yeah, it's a great question. Let me show you. So before we do that, let me just show you. So this is 100 nutrients I take every day, manufactured for me. You notice my name's on it. Those are the things where my body's deficient. When I eat food, those are the weight management that I take right before I eat. And that's how my body processes either fat or carbs in order to trap what shouldn't go in my bloodstream and expel it out of my system so it doesn't go in my bloodstream. That's all natural. So if I'm putting that in my body every single day, my body is working for itself. I don't need an outside intervention. Does that make sense? So that keeps me optimized. So look at me. I work 7 days a week, probably 18 hours a day. I got more energy than most people. I used to fall asleep at 2 o'clock in the afternoon 5 years ago. For the last 15, 20 years, I'd be so tired and so burnt out and so overwhelmed and then I go home and I couldn't sleep at night and I toss and I would turn. Getting yourself optimized, because I'm on no other medication, like just my precision supplements for me. So keeping myself optimized means I have the energy to not be burned out. Burnout is first a mindset. You only get burned out when you're doing something you don't like to do. It's like people reading and falling asleep and reading and falling asleep. Go take that same kid that's at school reading and falling asleep. You're in class. Oh, I'm so tired. Take that kid, walk him in another room and give him an Xbox. They'll be wired for 6 or 8 hours immediately, right? It ain't burnout. They're falling asleep. It's boredom. It's disconnection. It's overwhelm that burns you out. And when you feel burned out, you tend to be burned out. So how do you optimize yourself? Same way you optimize your life. Same way you optimize your relationships. Same thing I talked about before. Intention, action, result. How could I be burned out if I'm so passionate about what I do, and I'm so passionate about the people I get to help, and I'm so passionate about their results that every day I get up, I get to watch people succeed and flourish and prosper and conquer and live happier and healthier lives? How can I be burned out? I'm around so much positive energy. Now contrast that to somebody who's like, I'm burned out, I'm tired, it's so hard. It's because nothing is working for them. Their body in that state is not going to work for them either. I've never met somebody that's like, man, I am so physically dialed in, but I have a miserable business life. It's just, you have to make a commitment. Personal, professional, and financial burnout in any one category or all three categories is from boredom, distraction, or somebody just has no intention. So they're just existing. And of course, they're going to default to the easiest thing: drinking, eating, screwing around, sleeping on the couch, not being productive. Contrast that to somebody who's like, I'm going to build an empire. I'm going to create life for people. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be around great people doing great things. Like, you're not ever going to burn out doing that. So the only people that are actually burned out are people who aren't pursuing their passion. They're not finding success, and they're not really committed to the intention. So they're drifting. And when you drift, you always burn out.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to like a lack of passion or burnout, you usually hear from someone who's at a 9 to 5 that they don't like. I mean, 9 to 5 can work for some people, but if you're at a job that you don't like, it's really going to make it harder to do anything else like a side hustle or something to that effect.
Well, you know, it's interesting. My buddy had a business. He was like the number 2 or 3 guy at Primerica. He had tens of thousands of people in his downline. And I would go talk to these people. They go to work and do their day job every day. They would be burned out at their day job. They'd go home, they'd have dinner, they'd put on a nice suit and tie, and they'd come in and practice and train how to do financial services, and they'd be there till midnight so they could go build their own income streams. And the side hustle they were excited about. They looked like they were fresh. They were so excited. And then they'd go to work. I hate my job. I've got it. When people actually are moving towards something they're excited about, where they feel like they can take control, they feel like they're in charge of their destiny, and they're excited about it, you can literally take that same person, and when they're stuck in their day job, and then go put them in this other environment, and they go crazy, and they're so excited, and they physically look different, okay? This is what enthusiasm, excitement, intention, desire, this is what it looks like. It doesn't look like somebody that's laying on the floor going, oh, I'm so tired, I can't do anything, I hate my life. That's not that. So people do that until they can do the other thing. So I always tell business owners or high-performance individuals, personal, professional, financial goal planning, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. Give yourself 5 years. 1 year is the sprint, 3 years is the jog, 5 years is the marathon. And if you're set those goals and you're hitting those goals, because all value is based on confidence, right? If you don't have confidence in something, you back off of it. If you have confidence and you continue to succeed, it elevates your confidence. So you want to do more. It's like you were talking about marathons. If you had been started running marathons and every time you ran a marathon, you could get a third of the way through it and you'd have to give up because something was wrong, right? You'd be like, I don't know why I keep running these marathons. But in your case, you run the marathon and you're like, I did it. I did it. I did it. That's what belief needs. I did it. Well, belief elevates when you do something. But now you're in a different game. You're like, okay, I did it. I'm going to beat it. That's another level of belief and intentionality. Then you do it again and you beat it. What's the next thing? Like, I'm going to settle back to my slowest time? Or are you like, how do I beat that time? And if you just think of that concept with your marathon, like every time you run a marathon, you're not any longer glad that you completed the marathon. You expect to complete a marathon, don't you? You're not, people are like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. You completed it. You're like, what are you talking about? I'm pissed because I didn't beat my best time. So there's variations and gradients, right? Once you actually, and this is why and how you know when someone's successful. For all the listeners of your show, when someone's telling them, oh, you can do it and you can make all this money, if they're not specific about how, they're bullshitters. Because I don't know anything about marathons, but if you were going to sit down and take a piece of paper out and you're going to let me show you how I designed how I think about marathons. You would start with the first one I ever did, I wanted to complete it. True? I just want to be able to do it. Then you did it, and you probably wrote down the times and everything that you did do. And then you ask yourself, how do I beat that time? So now you're like, what do I eat differently? Who do I listen to that's actually faster that I can learn something from? And you start making your notes of who the people are and what you did differently and what you ingested and how you trained. And then you run your marathon and you're like, come hell or high water, I'm going to beat my last time. You beat your last time. What do you do next? Do you settle back for the first time? You're like, I'm going to beat that time. And now you get incrementally more prepared, incrementally more intentional, incremental more information, and you start applying that information. And then what do? You run the next race and you try to bash the previous time. There is no point where you're going to be like, I feel good about finishing a marathon with one of my worst times. Be zero. You'd be like, I don't even know why I ran the race. I know I can do it. I want to get better. Some people will say something different. They'll be like, I beat my second time. I'm happy. I'm going to go out and finish 50th or 100th, and I just want to finish because it's just something I enjoy. There's nothing wrong with that. But think about how you were thinking and you were explaining it to me. You go and you research and you pencil and you test things to figure out how do I get that second shaved off. That is a different level, different caliber, and different intentionality. Would you agree? And you could describe in detail what you're doing to shave 30 seconds off, right? Oh, yeah. So now I want you to apply that same, and for your listeners, I want them to apply the same to anybody giving them guidance and advice on building a business. If it's generic, oh yeah, you can do millions. Oh yeah, I built a $10 million company. Great, how'd you do it? Well, I sold and I delivered and it was great. Okay. No, I want to know the granular incremental details. How'd you go from $1 million to $2 million to $3 million? What'd you do different? How'd you do it different? What are your notes? Where are your notes? So let me tell you, somebody who's never done it doesn't have those notes. Anybody who's done it can give you the exact specifics of the challenge, how they overcame it, and what the result was, and how they shaved the 30 seconds off. And they never forget. So if you're on there listening to the show and you're like, who should I listen to? Who can help me achieve my goals? General information, kind of what the colleges teach, are coming from people. I'm not saying they didn't do it. I've met plenty of entrepreneurs that sold their businesses for 10 or 100, even $1 billion. And when you ask them, what were the specific things? They're like, I don't know, man. I just got so, like, I had great people. We executed. That's great information. But now if you're a business owner, you're like, well, okay, so I need great people. How do I get great people? Oh, great. I was timed my market right. And I was in the right place at the right time. What's the market? What's the right place? And what is the right time? So you have successful people that can articulate how they got there. But that is entirely different than somebody telling you with precision the incremental steps to win your race, beat your time, and all the micro improvements to become a Phelps who all of a sudden he's just got to smash his own record. I asked Phelps, we were down having a cocktail, having a tequila on the beach in Mexico, and I said, what was harder, beating everybody else or beating yourself? He says, beating everybody else was easier because I just had to figure out what they did, improve it, and smash it. Once I had to beat myself, I had to change what I was doing to get faster. And when I changed things or modified things, I would get slower. All of a sudden, the mind kicks in and you're like, why change anything if it's slowing me down? And then frustration kicks in. And then when you're frustrated, you know this because you've been through this. And then you're pissed. And when you're pissed, your energy levels and the things you're thinking about and your creativity and the way you're pushing yourself changes. Business is no different than how you're challenging or how he had to challenge himself to smash every single record and then even worse, smash all his. And you saw it with Tiger Woods. When he had a personal, I taught breakpoints, personal, professional, financial. Tiger Woods is a perfect example of what happens when you have a personal breakpoint cause your professional breakpoint to kick in. He lost confidence because of what people thought about him, because of his marriage and all that. And as soon as he lost confidence, he stopped playing better. He started playing worse. It's just, this is the reality. And those guys are operating at the highest levels of success, right? But you got to understand, you are no different than them. And so 6 figures, you got to be excellent at what you're doing, how you're communicating. You got to have a product or service that you can sell that people want to have. And then to get to 7, you got to work twice as hard. To get to 8, you got to teach other people to do it. To get to 9, you got to build a massive team of 1,000 people to do it. It's a whole different thing, right? And you have to be committed to that. Otherwise, it's going to be hard. You're going to back off, and you're going to give up and not have the energy to pursue it.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon brought a lot of great points about the running. I'm a 240 marathoner. Definitely, I did that a few years ago. I could go on about it, but basically, I don't want to. I speak with a lot of people who are under 220. I look at their stuff, so that's what me trying to get faster. It does tie into a video you mentioned, and I think we'll wrap up with this. In one of your videos about making discipline so easy, you talk about embracing new challenges. And I'm wondering if you could share with us some of the new challenges that you are doing so we have an idea of what a 9-figure entrepreneur thinks.
Yeah, and so by the way, 9-figure, I wrote that book. John Maxwell, my dear, dear, dear friend, mentor for 20 years, told me in 2013, he told me, you need to write a book, Brandon. And so I wasn't ready because I hadn't sold yet. And then when I sold, I was still kicking the can. And then he told me again, you need to write your book because you're going to be a 10-figure mindset entrepreneur and no one will know how you got there. So he helped me write 9-figure mindset. And he knew my story because I've been working with him for 10 years. He's one of my dearest friends. I actually helped him in his business in 2013. And so I already owned the domain 10-figure mindset because in 60 months working with my partner, Grant Cardone, who's a 10-figure thinker, right? 11-figure thinker, like that big 10X thinking. So by the time that book comes out in another 12 to 18 months, I will have moved from a 9-figure earner to a 10-figure earner, okay? The middle book is how we do it. It's the how-to, and that's the one I'm working on right now. What I'll tell you is that if you're excited about what you do, no matter how hard it is, and you can change your perspective because you've had success. So I no longer show up every day just for me. I actually have 3 categories of people I show up for. And because I have the skill to do it, I have the energy to do it. because energy is a life source, and it comes from other like-minded people who are vibrating together while they pursue their goals, their passion, their joy, while they're conquering and overcoming. And you're on the ship and you're a Viking and you sail somewhere and you battle and you bring the stuff home and everybody celebrates and then you go do it again. Well, I'm in that business. My actual job is to improve the lives of the people I serve and work with personally, professionally, and financially through the things we've all decided to do. And when you're doing that through my team, doing it with our business owners, and then teaching our business owners to do it with their teams, and then we're all doing it together. And then I get to do that with my partners. There's so much energy being injected into this, and there's so much opportunity. It's so exciting. It's so enthusiastic. Now, do we have our haters? Of course. Our haters are drainers. I mean, no offense, but if you don't know what we do and you don't see what we do and you just want to sit and mock us or talk crap about us on the internet or whatever. And by the way, every one of those people that have done that for me, I have a great resource because of my connections. So I get to see how many of these people have felonies, how many have been arrested, how many of them, literally these people that are talking trash about me, I hope they're just ready because I know everything about them, right? So, and usually here's a test. People that are throwing stones and criticizing others, it's because they don't think about this. If I'm fixated on my success and I barely have enough time to succeed because I'm so busy, how do I have time to spend a bunch of time talking shit about somebody else? How do I even have time to worry about what other people are doing if I'm so fixated on what I'm creating? People who talk trash about other people, and this is something every listener should listen to when someone's talking to you. Anybody criticizing or talking trash about somebody else, it's because they're not being productive. It's because they're not doing anything. So they're literally jealous, and they're haters because they're not making anything happen. Because anybody I know that's successful actually doesn't have time to worry about what other people are doing. They're so fixated on who they're helping and how they're doing it and what's happening. They're like oblivious to even what's going on around the world. People who are spending their time researching to talk trash about other people, it's because they actually have nothing going on. And I'll give you a little secret, because there's a lot of people that worry about those people who criticize them. Oh, I can't believe they'd say that. They're so mean. The reason they're doing that is because they actually are criminals in their own mind. They are known for that. So they're projecting because they're trying to cover up their sins. And you should just view it that way, because every one of these people that's ever criticized us, I look at what they've done. They're either completely fake. They've got felony convictions. They're like people that have been thrown in jail for stealing. And then you're like, okay, I don't really care about those people, right? And I'm saying this to you because here's what happens when you start to succeed. The people around you, you talked about the 5 people you want to become like. If you're not succeeding and you're trying to break out to be successful, those people around you, even if they love you, they will try to bring you back to normalcy. Because if you actually go succeed, they have to ask themselves this question. Why did you have the courage when I didn't? What makes you smarter than me? And what allowed you to succeed when I'm sitting at home criticizing you? And you're going to have to be okay with that and let it go. Pursue your personal, professional, financial goals. Be the best version of yourself and figure out how to beat the last thing you did and have fun with it. And if you do all that, you're going to be unbelievably successful, and you're going to beat your last time because you're fixated on it.
Well, ignore the haters as you pursue new and exciting challenges. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us on Breakthrough Success. It was a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you for having me on your show.